of the things I love about the clairvoyant training is it's technical, it's mechanical, but it's also easy. And it's not remembering ideas, or kind of these loose images or thoughts like um, maybe some other traditions I was looking at and trying to find something to grab onto. When we say center of head, there is an actual location that you can go to where it's like divine inspiration, creativity, where you get that answer for your solution. You're at work all week and you're like, I got to solve this problem. I can't make this engineering thing work. You sit in that sweet spot and then boom, a new idea drops in. A different space in the head is what we call the analyzer, which is further back in the head. Like instead of maybe here, it's going to be geographically, it's a little further back in the head. You can think of this like a sort of like a library warehouse of information you've read, classes you've taken, things you've experienced, things you've heard, and it's all kind of databased back there. People that have maybe higher learning, extra degrees and stuff like that, or a professor or a lawyer, something that needs to remember a lot of information, they might have more of their awareness back there in that back of the head space. And you go to meditate, and if you're meditating in that space, you're just going to have, like, you'd be sitting in that library. It's not the sweet spot of divine inspiration coming in, and that connection to seventh chakra and source.
So it's the same elevation, just further back or further forward in space. And so is this that location of center of the head, is that what you would define as the sixth chakra space, or is that something else?
I see the sixth chakra near there. We don't actually sit in the chakra. I see the chakra a little more behind the forehead.
Okay.
But you can find that sweet spot just being aware of where you are, that awareness, name of the show, and just kind of wiggle up and down and back and forth. And there's a place that it goes really still. I talk about it in class, like if you're on an airplane and there's no turbulence, like there's just a real stillness. Or if people are more already tuned in on a seeing level, there's a blue light in there, which is kind of one of the anchor points of you as a soul. There's a couple of anchor points where the soul really comes in, from the time as you're aging, comes in at different points. That's one of the points in there. So if you see that light, it's kind of a blue light or a flame, you can just go sit right there.
Interesting. Okay, so sixth chakra forward of this point, and is that what you would also call third eye, the sixth chakra, and that's the same location? Those terms are synonymous.
I think, that's the way I would use it.
This so it's interesting, like anatomically in the brain, the pineal gland sits right about there. A lot of people think that the pineal gland is up closer to the brow, and it's not. If you basically draw a line between the tips of your ears straight to the center of your head, that's where it's located. Is this is this like the physical anchor point of this blue light?
Don't worry about it on a geographic level, but it resonates. Like each of the chakras has an endocrine gland that it works with. And this is just spirit stepping down to body level, right? So spirit comes in the body and it anchors in on the chakras and then out into the endocrine system. And it's just lowering in vibration, coming down and down into the physical body, right? So in the sixth and seventh chakra, that's pineal and pituitary, right? Thyroid, hypothalamus, the heart, so each of those, it's just stepping down in frequency. So, somebody having thyroid problems, coming in for a reading, I might take a look at the fifth chakra. Are there some blocks, some energies getting in the way of it functioning in a healthy way? So those are things to look for.
So talk a little bit about the how people will move out of that space into objects or into visions or
Ah,
things that they're looking at, because I thought that was really an astute way of pointing out how awareness is moving around.
yeah, thank you. So that's the second part of your question. So, for example, when people start this practice, the first thing we do is grounding, just grounding your body, being aware and centered in your center of head, and you start grounding out old energies around your space, old um, thoughts or emotions, or maybe other people's problems we've accidentally picked up. And so these are the first things that start to sort of naturally come up and out of our space. So you might have been in the first class or something, and it was one of the Elizabeth who's here asked the question on the website about feeling a little sleepy. She started doing this style of practice, and this happens all the time. You think, oh, I'm excited. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna do my practice. This is great. I'm meditating, and then all of a sudden they're out. It's unconscious energy coming out. To your question about pictures, we talk about we use the word pictures like mental image pictures. So in our lifetime, we've had tons and tons of mental image pictures that contain information and sort of get stored. If we hold weight to them or resist them, they might stay a little more stuck in our space. So we start grounding and releasing energy. And if some of these old pictures come up, like a picture comes up and okay, I'm in PE, 14 years old, and somebody made a weird comment and said, "Oh, you're goofy," or whatever, and that held a mental image picture, and it's coming out, and then so you're in the middle of your head and you're looking at it, and then you want to try to figure it out a little more, and the next thing you know, you're in that picture trying to solve it, find an answer, find a solution. You get in a loop, and there's no solution in there. It's just a loop. It's just a picture. It's like a static picture. But going out into it, then you're reliving it and becoming the picture rather than move the picture back out in front of you. You can look at it, you can read it if you want, or just throw it down the grounding cord like a trash chute. It's up to you if you want to read it or not. But when this happens all the time, people go out, pictures start to come out, and they think, I don't know if I like this because, um, I'm going to sleep with or getting sleepy or so forth. It's all the unconsciousness coming out, things we've been unconscious to. Or if a picture comes out that's maybe here's an argument with somebody, it was a long time ago. I don't think about it all. I don't think about this person. I'm over it. It's still the picture's still there because there's still some resistance. If it were really truly fully forgiven, it wouldn't be there. So if there's a nugget of non-forgiveness, it might still be hanging around. So if we take that, if that picture starts, it's coming up and out, and maybe it's there for review if you want to review it. But the going into a picture that you're talking about is when we move from center of head right into it. Now, everywhere we look, we're in that argument with that person from 2 months ago or something.
And there's like a huge emotional entanglement that occurs when one does that, and so that's where I see the relationship to a mindfulness like meditation practice exists, is that when there is distance between your awareness and what you're observing, the emotional sort of contagion of that image is so much further away, and it's much easier to witness what you're seeing and process it.
Exactly. Yeah, having the distance between it, and this is where there's just a lot of mechanical things that we can do and work on. We're trying to get more neutral to what we're experiencing to be able to let it go. If we're emotionally tied to it, one, we're probably in the picture, probably reliving it, emotionally tied and emotionally in that argument and all that it means and all the history background to it and everything. Um, that's just again being in the picture, we get a little distance from it. Now I'm back in the center of my head and I'm looking at it. There's a distance from here to here. There is a clairvoyant viewing screen out here too. You can just read stuff like watching a movie. That's all training based. Well, I mean, it's built in, but you learn how to see it. um, but then you can see the picture and go, oh yeah, and forgive it, let it go. And there's techniques for all that.